Welcome to Tape Deck. Gonna have a creative conversation. Hello, welcome to Tape Deck, a podcast where I, artist writer Declan have a creative conversation, namely with a past or present collaborator in comics. My collabro this episode is Nick Roche. Nick Roche is a Wexford-born comic book writer and artist, infamous for his work with Transformers. Transformers Last Stand of the Wreckers, scripted and drawn by Nick, was selected as IGN.com's best Transformers comic of all time, and he's currently the character designer.
I'm sure
on
that still stands, by the way.
You don't speak. You're not allowed to speak until I'm finished with this long bio. I asked for a bio. You gave me a series of paragraphs, so you can wait. Transformers Earthspark, the award-nominated animated series, available on Netflix and Paramount+. Nick has spent his time in the Marvel Universe, right now as the artist on X-Men Unlimited, with previous stints on Spider-Man, Death's Head, and others. He's also found time to visit Mega City 1 to aid in and abet Chopper in the Pages 2000 AD. Perhaps the work Nick is most proud of is SCARENTHOOD, an original comedy folk horror comic novel set. That's a lot of original comic folk horror comic novel.
Yeah, but it's for casuals, Deck. It was for casuals.
I see. I got you. For normies. Set in Ireland about the adventures of ghost hunting parents who investigate the paranormal while their kids are at school. Despite being about a haunted Montessori, SCARENTHOOD is very much not suitable for children. Nick lives in Waterford with his wife, 3 kids, and an obsession with local bakeries. That was actually... Was it you who brought us to that nice local bakery?
Yes, it was. Seagull.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Get our cinnamon buns and our coffee. Yeah.
But Nick, thanks for joining me.
Thank you. The reason why I interrupted that time, Deck, is because Last Stand of the Wreckers was given the post of number 1 Transformers comic book story of all time by IGN.com, and I just think that in the wake of the work that Daniel Warren Johnson is doing at Skybound, I'm sure that still stands.
Well, it bears repeating. I mean,
for as long as it stands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was really the last stand of the records. But you sure we'll get into that.
Sure, look, let's do it, Deck. Yeah, sure, we're here.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's just like milk our friendship for content. That's how I like to look at it.
It is, but it is. I said on Twitter earlier on, it is what men of a certain age do, because men will do anything, but go to therapy.
Like, I'm busy. Yeah. Why would I talk to my friend when I have work to do? Unless 100%. It's work.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Well, we mentioned backstage in the Tape Deck green room that a bunch of us Irish creators met at the Cork Comic Con last September, and we booked a place in like a gaming restaurant bar because we're men of a certain age, and that's what we like to do when we hang out together. And we didn't even spend 1 20-cent piece because none of us had seen each other together for like 3.5 years. And
I'd seen really 1 or 2, but I hadn't seen you.
Yeah, that's right. I hadn't seen you. I hadn't seen Mooney.
Definitely.
And it was Stephen Mooney and Will Sliney and I all hung out together on like the 29th of February 2020. Went to see Supergrass together, and
that's right.
That was it. And then Mooney had this really bad cough that night.
Well, he doesn't get sick from what he says. Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, he's mentally well, apparently too.
I wouldn't say that. I was talking to him last week. No, he was saying like, because like something about him being normal. I'm like, you're not. Yeah, you're not normal. He was like, absolutely normal. It's like, no. You look normal, but you're probably the weirdest out of all of us.
He's very strong. Dennis from Always Sunny in Philadelphia vibes from Stephen Mooney.
Yeah, but he doesn't get angry.
Okay.
Man, I remember that. There's the one time he got so angry. It was so weird. Anyway, that's for a Mooney podcast. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If he ever deserves one.
Come on.
But this one is about you. I remember, Nick, the first time I ever heard of you, I was so feckin' jealous because it was a Dublin Comic Con, and everybody was always talking about this Nick Roche fella. I'm like, who? And then I find out like he's drawn Transformers. I was like, what? How did I not hear about this guy? But yeah, you were the guy. Like you were the real trailblazer.
Well, also that comic convention was run by the now guys from Big Bang Comics in Dublin, but it was they it was a very tiny convention, but it had very big names. You know, it had like Mark Miller and like Liam Sharp and Paul Cornell and Annie Granoff there. And it was just and me and but it was us five on a stage, and we were, you know, and like, you know, because John and Bruno were so good, like they made sure that I got asked almost as many questions as the big boys. It kind of made me seem like
my jealousy was so seething. I forgot about all the other ones except you.
Good. That's okay. It's nice to know you were jealous of me once, but I completely understand. Like I think we've spoken about it personally before. Being from Ireland and kind of being the best artist in your class, and also growing up in the era that we did, you know, with pre-internet, pretty much, you sort of think, well, I am. No one else could do this. No one else can like comics as much as I can, and it kind of creates this like sense of entitlement kind of that goes with it. So
sure, like you're siloed, like you're siloed on a social level, so you don't realize other people are doing things. I remember when I first heard about Will, I'm like, there's another guy drawing comics, and then when I met Mooney, he was professionally doing it. And I'm like, wait, I'm the guy who's supposed to do, like, it's, we all have our hero's journey, and then all of a sudden somebody really messes with it.
Yeah, well, too, like you were, I guess you are the first Irish writer for Marvel.
No. Well, I guess it depends. I mean, Garth, it's always tough. I never know how to include.
So Republic of Irish writer. Do you know what I mean? Sure. And so that really muffed me up on my, you know, plans.
I'll do it. Well, we're kind of getting into like you were more than if anyone who doesn't know, a lot of us Irish guys got together and did like a sketch blog, and it was a really great way for us all to kind of like actually have a bit of camaraderie and get to know each other more. But you were the one who was writing more than anybody else. You had more background in it. I think you had done at that stage maybe written and drawn the one shot, the cup one shot, wasn't it? Yeah. So I mean, I would have. I was expecting you to be writing rings around the whole lot of us.
No. Still got to get
you probably did Wreckers before.
Yeah,
before
I did Wreckers 2009 until over 2010. I'd done like the one shot cup about like an elderly transformer stranded alone on a planet as he slowly loses his mind. It was I Am Legend meets Transformers, and that was my start. But I kind of got that start by having that particular set of skills. The same way as I got my start in comics, because it just so happened that I'd been drawing Transformer fanzines all through the 90s, and while also kind of taking in comics and trying to draw non-robot comics. So I had a kind of grounding in like storytelling and kind of a vaguely professional kind of finish to it all. But I happened to be the guy for the job for drawing Transformers comics when they were looking for people, when IDW started doing Transformers comics. And because I built up a relationship with the editors there, and I knew the characters pretty well, they kind of took a shot on me for the 2007 one-shot. And then, then it was Wreckers after that.
That was a while, though. It was a couple of years?
Yeah, it was two years between. 2007 was
to leverage in the writing. I mean, you did it with Cup. I mean, after that, was it like, oh, you know, nice job, so get back to drawing? Or like, was it hard to kind of leverage in?
And they said as much in a nice way. They sort of said, you're more valuable to us as an artist than you are as a writer, because we've got, you know, people kind of already bedded in there. But having said that, they offered me Last Stand of the Wreckers. I didn't have to pitch that. And so again, that kind of felt like, oh, well, you know, this is kind of easy. And also, I've talked about it elsewhere before, like I am, but I very much was the Transformers guy, and that was what I wanted to do in comics. So if you kind of get that as your first gig, it does kind of ask you to reset things, and it's not as the further I get away from that, the harder I realize that was to kind of go, what do I do now? Do you know? Like obviously there's plenty of places to go, but like it's a weird, you know, and you've done bucket list titles and stuff and gigs. It's a weird thing to kind of go, what next? Alexander the Great, you know? So I have drawn the robots.
I do remember when I did, the Batman backup story. You know, I wasn't the Batman guy, but look, I was getting to do Batman. I totally froze.
I do remember you getting the Batman's job. Yeah.
Well, it was. But look, it was just.
Yeah.
It was just a backup site, but. Which was that? What story is that?
Oh, how I found out you were doing Batman.
I don't remember.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. You rang me a couple of days after my mum's funeral to tell me how sorry you were to hear about my news and stuff. And then you were like, you're never going to believe it though, man. I'm doing Batman. It's like, oh, brilliant. Cool.
Just to really, really kick you, you know?
Yes. Well, I've actually got 2 dead parents, Deck, so fuck you.
That's true. You're more qualified.
Did
your mum have a pearl necklace though?
Mentioning that Bruce Wayne. I know. So, but you were so tell me about your pain, Nick. I need to know. So that's all.
Yeah, I mean, you have to kill them in order to try and get like the job. But I mean,
you say that now.
I do remember you making a joke at the time, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can't like." Too soon. It was about your own parents. And I was like, it's too soon.
Probably about me skidding on like my mother's pearls and stuff, you know, kind of.
Something to do with that. No, I don't. Well, I have a problem anytime I tell Mooney about something that's come up. He always uses it to be like, "Oh, you're gonna just dig in again? How you're just gonna like shove it in my face?" I'm like, I'm not telling you to shove it in your. You're my friend. I'm telling somebody.
Exactly. Yeah, I know, and that's it. Like, it's kind
who
of
else am I going to talk to about? Like,
literally, who else? No, it's true. It is true. We've got to. But that's it. Luckily, we are friends, and we kind of like, and that's why I can sort of say it to your face.
Yes.
As opposed to sort of going, off to the others. So.
I had forgotten that. I like, no matter what, I've managed to step over everybody else's joy in order to succeed.
Oh, 100%, man.
Well, that must have been interesting to your first gig be the bucket list. Like that
to work with the writer that kind of made me want to write comics, because it was Simon Furman,
was it?
Yeah, and he's the Transformers guy, and kind of like, but like he was the Transformers guy because he was the one who saw Transformers. Like he didn't have Transformers when he was growing up. It was a gig to him in his like mid-20s writing Transformers in the 80s. And he wrote it in such a way that it just never spoke down to the readership, the readership of 7 to 12-year-old boys. And because it never spoke down to them, those 7 to 12-year-old boys, became, 12 to 17-year-old boys by the time that run was ended. And he gave the book a kind of a gravitas that it didn't need really, because he was just sort of like, I'm giving this my best gig. So he became the Transformers guy, and he was the Transformers guy when IDW got the license back in 2005. And so when I got my first interior gig, which is on an issue called Spotlight Shockwave, it was almost like an issue 0 for the entire continuity in IDW. We kind of didn't realize it at the time, but it was one of those stories which the other writers would kind of use as their springboard from there on. It was this kind of fulcrum within the universe. And it's a weird thing because it was my first gig, and, it very much looks like I can see that it's my first gig, but I can also look at it and go, I couldn't have done any better. And we don't always have that feeling after we've completed work, and Josh Burcham was the first time I'd worked with the colorist Josh Burcham as well. He'd been a colorist, a fan colorist, done a little bit for Dreamwave maybe, but kind of in the online forums, and he'd colored some of my stuff, and I'd always kind of hoped that we'd get to do something professional together, and we get to work together as our first gig out. So, and even Simon will say, who's written, thousands of Transformer stories, he was like, I had my work boots on that day. Like he's happy with the story, the script. He still uses it when he does kind of like talks to like how to put together a script sort of thing, So it was one of those sort of things where, lightning kind of struck as well. So not only was I was getting my dream gig, I didn't mess it up, and I can sort of see why I got a second gig after it, basically, Which, if you know me, and you do, that's not how I talk usually. So
that was over 20 years ago. Like, has it happened to you since now? Have you found yourself to be the Simon Furman for like people who were kids when they read it and now they're grown up?
It's awful. Yeah, I met someone who asked me to sign that comic from 2006, and they said, this is my favorite Transformers comic. I was a kid, and they hadn't been born when that comic was printed. Like they'd kind of got it from their dad, I think, and were just like holding it like, this means so much to me and stuff. And then there's people who've kind of come in at the tail end of IDW's run who were kind of like, younger, and kind of came in from like looking at our stuff that we did. Like,
I don't know if you were getting this. I kind of have to feel like I just started to feel like I'm not breaking in.
Yeah.
It's been like, but it's like to somebody else, it's like, oh no, you're ancient. You're an old man now. And I was like, wait, no, I was just like the new kid.
Yeah.
But no, that was
So it means if you're getting by, and you are, it's because of the quality of the work, as opposed to.
Yes, so we're old.
Yeah, we're old. We're old is what I'm saying. Yes, it is. It's a weird one, isn't it? It's only the last few years that's maybe 2 years that I've really kind of felt that. But I must say, that comes with that is the inner peace. Like, I'm still scrambling for. Well, in as much as there's not. I don't think there's as much kind of jealousy there. There's not as much sort of kind of FOMO and as much kind of like, oh, I should be and it's this is an insight, but it's true. Like I'm able to be happier for my friends as well, because like that, there is a little true part, which is going to be like, oh, but I've never looked at any of my friends who've gotten like, when Will got like 2099, Spider-Man 2099 or whatever, for example, you couldn't say that he hadn't done the work. You know what I mean? There's never been any of my friends that I've ever gone, why does he have that though? It's sort of like, I can see why he has that. And you have to kind of address that then and just go, you've got to be happy.
You can be jealous of the gig, but you couldn't go like, like why?
Yes.
Exactly. I remember when Mooney was doing Angel, I was like, oh man, I love that. But like you couldn't go, I just like, no, he'd been doing it way, way longer, could do way better job. Like, I think, there was always that kind of like peace of mind of going like, yes, I'm jealous, but they are the right person for the job. I shouldn't have that job. We got a message from PJ Holden here. He says, torn between telling the people in our lives who don't really know what we do, so have no frame of reference, and shrug and go, oh, is that good? And our pals who work in the industry who are all seething with jealousy. Maybe that's just me. I don't really know to go with torn between telling the people in our lives who don't really know what we do. Maybe you can tell somebody who you know. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
I get it. Gary's reminding us of the old Comic Cast days. When we were starting out. It would be interesting to listen to some of that stuff now and go, you idiot.
Absolutely not.
You idiot.
No. Do not want to hear people in their mid-20s talk.
So when you moved on from what was the kind of the project that moved you on from Transformers?
Oh, God. This is PTSD. This is, well, the happy version is going to Marvel. The frustrating version was getting to do some Doctor Who with IDW at a time when I developed like chronic fatigue syndrome for like 4 to 5 months.
That, yeah,
it was bad because that with something like that. And I don't know, like that was the name of it, but it was very much a kind of a fatigue kind of situation. But it's that sort of thing where you're like, oh God, oh look, I'll be okay tomorrow. I'll catch up tomorrow, and playing that game for a month on a job. It was like 5 months. 5 months I was kind of like just sleeping for like 12 hours a day, and then that sort of thing. It's like now if you've got a heavy dose or you've had COVID or something, that if you try and push a little bit too hard, it pushes you back way, way harder. So anytime I would try to do kind of like some work and try and stay on top of my work, it just flattened me. And it would have been bad if it happened anytime, but it happened on issue 1 of a Doctor Who launch, and just the work that they'd make it to that issue is. And I only made it onto that one issue, and like I was doing covers, and even they, so it's that sort of thing where, but it's also that sort of thing where you can't. Maybe it could now because social media is a bit more bedded in than it would have been in 2008, but I felt like I also couldn't admit to being sick. Was that sort of thing. That and I think there's hopefully a bit more kind of understanding now, but I think there is still always going to be a sense of like you're going to lose your place there's always a chance you can lose your place, and you can't afford to be sick.
Especially because there was a whole new thing. You had like a safe home for a long time,
and to prove that I could do stuff that wasn't robots and stuff. So it was kind of set me back brain-wise as well, I think, because it was kind of.
But I mean, like you look back at it. I mean, there's some like gigs I kind of came my way and I wasn't able to do them, or for whatever reason. And I remember thinking it was the biggest deal in the world. Like I'm really, oh God, that's gone. I'm screwed. I look back now, I'm like, I can't even remember what they were anymore. Like, in the scheme of things, it's fine. Like, I don't think you were hurting after that. I think you did okay, you know?
I know 100%. It wasn't like, now with a bit of distance I can, you know, but like it was.
You can't say that at the time. At the time, you're not going to listen.
You can't because it's happening to you, and also like I was like 28 and stuff, and I'm still an adult, but like still kind of a baby within the industry, you know, like kind of 2 years, and I think everyone who kind of breaks into comics and kind of sticks around, maybe people that don't, but like, and if they don't stick around, Jesus, it probably isn't their fault, but like. You really find it hard to pace yourself in the kind of your first few years, I think, too. And so it's quite possible that the reason why I kind of like had that kind of complete wipeout was maybe because I just tweaked myself too much. By thinking,
you ran yourself into the ground, maybe.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, you know, like I felt like there's no reason why I should feel this way, but like, you know, one or two like 24-hour like straight things, you know, like it's kind of. And I think everyone does it early on in the industry. They're saying, but like one of the good things about social media, or some social media now, is that there does seem to be a bit more of a people out there, kind of bigger siblings out there who will sort of say, "Pace yourself. Here's how to look after yourself." But it's whether you listen or not, you know. And do you listen when it's?
My theory is like you won't listen. You'll hear it, but you're never going to listen until you actually do it. You need to hit that wall. You know, it's not great. But it's just you need to do it to know what your limitations are.
Yeah,
the difference between I think succeeding long term is knowing that wall and like, okay, I'm going to stay away from, or I'll get close to it, but I know to stop. I think the people who crack or aren't able to they just keep hitting the wall, and I think that's where you can really fall apart. Really, you know, knowing your limitations means you're not going to get derailed. But I think the only way to know that is to actually experience it.
Yeah, I get it, but it would be nice if you could sort of do that in a way that's not going to jeopardize your health or your mental health, especially because it's you're playing against yourself, you know, and you're telling yourself, well, this is it, I've fucked it, so no one's calling me back after this one, so you know.
But I think you could, like, I'd advise people this all the time, but they don't listen. I didn't listen. Nobody really does.
No,
I
know.
Seem to find their own path. But
if I could say anything, go to bed, it would be like, you know, don't stay up. You will draw better after a few hours sleep, genuinely. Like, and you will draw faster, and you'll solve all those problems on the page a lot quicker than if you grind the page out overnight. Like, honestly, please believe some old men.
Yeah, that even happened to me there recently. I can't remember what I was working on. It was just like, I was away, came back, was working late. I'm like, I'm this isn't going well. Just stop. Go to bed. Tomorrow it'll be fine. And it was. I was banging my head against the table trying to make it work. I'm like, my brain isn't working. Just stop.
No.
Tomorrow will be fine. You know. But I don't want to. Again, I want to. We could go on forever. So I want to make sure we're moving along at a pace. So you had your I don't know, gentleman's holiday, for lack of a better phrase.
Sounds rude.
I know it does. Yeah. Was it rude? No, it wasn't. It's probably debilitating.
I couldn't manage it, mate.
So it wasn't. So when you were able to kind of, get your energy levels back up again, was that when Marvel stuff came your way?
Yeah, roughly around then, I suppose. You know what? Annoyingly, it was just as we had a baby. Not you and I.
That is annoying.
Let's see. It kind of was time-wise, Matilda. You know, you're really. But no, it took. So I had worked on a Transformers comic called Transformers Infestation, and it was when Andy Lanning and Dan Abnett had been brought in to write a Transformers kind of crossover, an IDW crossover, and they were writing the Transformers part, and it was kind of a big shake. But IDW Transformers kind of bring in names who were kind of currently doing stuff for Big Two or other publishers, you know, because they were like hot off Guardians of the Galaxy. And you told me, why don't you do like a sketch to say thanks for working together, guys. So I did like a piece of Guardians of the Galaxy, did Nova, did Rocket, and I did Death's Head 2 because they'd worked on Death's Head 2 for Marvel UK, and Death's Head was my Marvel guy because of the Transformers connection. And Andy Lanning was given the job of recruiting and assembling creators for the Revolutionary War tie-in about 2 years later, which was then bringing back all the Marvel UK comics, which was kind of like my Marvel. Once Transformers comics finished in the early 90s, I kind of moved on to Overkill, which was like Marvel UK's version of 2000 AD, fantasy. It was big kids comic, kind of scary, kind of a bit occulty and heavy metal and all those things. And they'd done loads of stuff for that. And they're going to bring all those characters back through Marvel for this thing called Revolutionary War. And Andy Lanning gave me a shout to say, messaged me saying, "All right, matey, would you be up for doing some stuff for Marvel? I have your artwork above my board here, and I thought of you for the job." And that's how I got the nod from Marvel.
Hey, I think I probably said it at the time, because remember we had done lots of fan art and stuff for the Mix blog.
Yeah.
And I remember when I got my chance, it was like a Daredevil crossover, and I had drawn the hand of that. Like, so that stuff can, help out. I mean, there's no way to know it would have worked out, but I'm glad it did.
Oh, really could, because like I was just so happy to be working with those guys anyway. Like they'd actually worked on the real Ghostbusters comic for Marvel UK in the 80s. And Andy Lanning was my favorite. He's my favorite Ghostbusters artist. And they had just their kind of like British kind of sense of humor. And I've got some of the original pages from my favorite issues of him as well. And so it was a really big deal. He was so lovely. Still is. It works. I had access to him, so I was able to sort of send the artwork kind of directly to him, show it directly to him. And it can pay off. People will kind of remember you. And I think because I was frothing over Marvel UK anyway, so it sort of seemed that like, and he knew I wanted to do. And I think they were quite happy with the job I'd done on their Transformers strip. Again, I think kind of I had a decent-ish sort of strength just for comics, in a way that maybe not all Transformers artists would have done at the time. Like, I don't know, some things with the Transformers comics, the strength is in drawing the robots, and if you want to kind of move on from there, you really got to make sure that you can kind of draw other stuff, but just make sure that you can tell a story clearly, I guess, and I think the fact that if you can do that with complicated stuff like Transformers, it kind of sticks in people's mind, I guess. It was a zombie title as well. It was Transformers versus Zombies in Las Vegas, so it wasn't like they threw me a softball. So I got to work on Death's Head again. So my favorite, my first Marvel gig was like, I didn't aim my sights too high, but like your favorite character is your favorite character, Death's Head is a robotic bounty hunter, time traveler kind of, and he's funny, and Simon Furman created him. And so again, my first Marvel thing was drawing my favorite Marvel character by two, because it was Death's Head versus Death's Head 2. So it was a dream.
Yeah, so you looked at it twice. Joe popped in to say, Nate, I just checked the Vegas odds, and autoerotic asphyxiation seems to be the best odds. Oh, I see.
Why I kind of...
no, sorry, Nate actually chipped in. I saw earlier, Nate is asking for both of us, when do you think you will die, and how will it happen?
Die.
So yeah, Joe checking the odds. Thanks, Joe. I mean, I don't know. I think rage stroke will be me, probably. Yeah, I think Mooney's going to just wind me up so much. So, or Nate. Nate might be the one to do it too, but I think that's my way out.
Nate will do it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Nate's actually trying. Mooney does it without meaning to.
Yeah. He is. I slipped in front of him. I nearly slipped in front of a moving car last year, and during in the middle of like a rainfall, and I literally said, "Oh, bollocks," as I was going towards the car, and so now I know what my last words are going to be. And there is a resignation that goes with it.
Bollocks is pretty good. But I'd take that.
It's that bollocks. It's more like, oh, my wife's going to be furious. This
is going to be such a pain in the arse for her. Yeah.
Yeah, this is very inconvenient. Yeah, how am I going to go? I don't know. Yeah, something cake based. I think.
I would think impaled on your own Transformers.
Icing based aneurysm.
I can see you slipping and landing on one of your Transformers and it impaling you.
Buried underneath one of them, perhaps. I'm not sure, but I think I think possibly a rage stroke from living with my children as well. So,
PJ
is Nate trying to figure out what work will be left available if you both pop it? PJ Holden does not need more work. All right, PJ Holden is very occupied at all times. Like, God, PJ Holden.
He's working when he's not working. So yeah, I know when you were doing when you broke in Marvel, you ended up doing like a lot of Spider-Man stuff. The was it Friendly Neighborhood? What was the book?
Renew Your Vows. That was a few years after as well. Yeah, there was kind of a gap. I was doing New Warriors, And IDW had asked me to keep some time free to do a book, and they asked me to do some more New Warriors. Marvel did, and I said, I can't. I've been promised a book at IDW, and then that didn't happen. And then the calls didn't come back, and yeah, that's what you get. The calls didn't come back, and not in a sort of a screw you sort of way, but like I'd said, I wasn't available, so they just didn't. They gave those jobs somewhere else, and then it took a while to kind of get my face across the desk of a few other editors. Bumped into Heather Antos in Dublin. It was weird you were there, she gave me some work doing some covers. Did a Star Wars cover, did a Deadpool and Punisher cover, and they were kind of pinch hit covers. There were people who kind of weren't available, but like she liked my stuff, and kind of she threw me in, and then she was like, she literally said as well. She said, "This is a test drive for something I've got in mind for you," and so she put me on Spider-Man Renew Your Vows with Jodie Houser writing and Ruth Redmond doing colors. And yeah, again, it was like, I thought when I got my foot back in the door, didn't think I'd be drawing Spider-Man, so it was, that was lovely. It was really lovely.
Well, it's mad, like, I've never really gotten to, I've drawn Spider-Man, I think 4 times out of all my years. It's mad. Like, again, the characters, like you've really looked out, the gigs you've gotten have been like the top characters for you.
Well, they have been, but it's a weird thing of like that kind of bucket list ticking that kind of is maybe not for the best because once you've sort of ticked off the character, you can sort of kind of lose some drive without realizing you're losing the drive for in some ways. Like I did a comic last year for Erasmus Fox, who are kind of an external kind of comic packaging sort of, they work in like marketing and creating comics for kind of marketing purposes, but they worked via Marvel to work on a Christian Louboutin campaign. So Christian Louboutin was doing some Marvel themed shoes, and they wanted Christian Louboutin in the comic strip where he meets the Marvel characters. So it had all the Guardians of the Galaxy, it had Submariner, it had Moon Knight, it had Captain Marvel, it had the Avengers in, and Doctor Strange. And so now I've drawn all those, but it's for a shoe ad. A 10-page shoe ad that is exclusive to like doesn't, but again, it really does, because it's like it's like, what I sort of said, it can take away some of your drive, but it does sort of kind of relax you a little bit to take on the stuff that maybe means more to you, or the stuff that's gonna build more of a path in front of you, because it does count, because it kind of, I really wanted to draw Guardians of the Galaxy at some stage, and I've drawn for 2 pages, while they're wearing pairs of really snazzy shoes. So
should probably way more work to draw the snazzy shoes. PJ says, so much of the motivation to get into comics is fired by those characters you love at age 10. So when you finally get to do them, it can feel like you've peaked, and it can take some time to look around and see there's loads of other mountains. Certainly that was my experience. Past a certain point, it stops being about characters and about people. It's fair. I mean, I've got...
just to say, but PJ... Sorry, go ahead, Dick.
No, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, like, PJ's, he's still a Dread guy, one of the Dread guys, and that was a character he was obsessed with since he was a tiny kid, and you can see like he still gets such joy out of drawing Dread, and I think that kind of goes a long way too. That if you can tell some artists are having fun drawing stuff, and that's the stuff that you'll be attracted to a lot more as a reader, and definitely as a fellow pro too. Like in PJ's got that in spades. All right, PJ.
Chris wants to point out that that man never wore a shoe in his life. I don't know which man that is, but I bought new shoes yesterday. I know what you mean. Like I got to do Batman, which is amazing, but it's not like a proper run, which I'd like to do. So even though I've gotten to or I've drawn like a 1-page story with Daredevil, I want to do a chunk, like 6 issues or something, so even though you get a taste, I've got a taste of, I haven't got the whole taste, but I've been very, very lucky in all the stuff I've gotten to do. So I'm just I'll just never be properly satisfied.
No, I remember when I was drawing New Warriors, Scarlet Spider was a member of New Warriors at the time, Ben Riley. Very cool. But in my head, I'm sort of like, I'm drawing Spider-Man because who knows? I mean, maybe it is Peter Parker after all. Like, maybe they'll eventually retcon it, and he will be Peter Parker again. But you do that, and then renew your vows. That's a different universe essentially from the 616 Prime Marvel universe. So you'd have people like, say, Will Sliney, who'll tell me, it's not the real Peter Parker. It's like, all right. And then I got to draw the real Spidey for Spider-Man Deadpool issue. So I have drawn Earth 616 Peter Parker. And so like that, you kind of keep moving the goalpost a little bit to sort of go, okay, I've done it. Yeah, but doing a little run.
The one time I got to draw, one of the very few times I got to draw Spider-Man, I just wrote him in as a cameo just so I could draw him. And then the editor's like, he needs a line. So I gave him a line. I'm like, I've written Spider-Man. Like, it's a line, but it's a lot. It counts. I'll hold on to that. Pry onto that with my cold dead hands. Kuba Nasal is asking, what are the odds of attending Dublin City Comic Con summer this year? I'd say I'll probably be there.
I think I will probably be there.
Okay. Are you free?
I think so. Yeah, no, I think, it kind of depends on, I'm definitely doing a convention, I think, maybe if it's 2 weeks before, that the hope and plan is I will be there this year. And people, I've been, yes, hopefully, see you there.
It was Gary saying that was Chris Yost, I think, his run on Scarlet Spider and Into New Warriors was great. Can't remember, but that was the Scarlet Spider, it wasn't the 90s one though, wasn't it? It was the Ryan Stegman one, it was like with the black top with the red.
Yes,
I had to draw him in Venom,
it was very... Yeah, and so he is very Spider-Man-y until you just don't draw the webs on, pretty much. So it's kind of, so the silhouette is there,
so
the activity is there.
It's easier to draw.
And it was like 2014 when I was drawing that, and I haven't got it didn't have as much of a dad weight as I have now, so I was taking lots of reference pictures of myself. And that's a spicy, spicy camera roll, my friends.
You'll have to share those next time. I think
absolutely.
Okay, sorry, I lost you again there. Reese Hannigan is asking if you have any advice for New York Comic Con. You've done it how many times?
Walk across the sidewalk. Yeah, I've done it twice. I did it twice. I did 2018, 2019. So I'm not really. I don't know what to. It's hard to know. I kind of both
not
times.
Not get an Airbnb with us would probably be the main one.
It was so much fun.
Especially when you yelled at us. Shut up!
I never yelled.
That's what Mooney reminded me. Said we were making noise and you yelled at us to shut up. No.
I never did.
You'd be right to.
I would be right to, but I didn't because I was I was expecting to yell, and then I didn't. I pretended to be asleep a lot.
Nick,
no, boys, no, we're not doing this. Because I'm a non-drinkist, so I would have gone home earlier and stuff, and kind of worked on commissions, and then gotten up a bit earlier. Do you know what
was it worth doing though?
Yeah, it was. To be honest, but it's all from a place of privilege too, because I kind of didn't go over there specifically looking for work. I kind of, you wanted to make connections, but I kind of had stuff happening. So I think that kind of helped me go in some ways because I didn't feel, we've all done conventions, I think, where you're kind of pinning a lot of hope on things and your expectation is going to be too high and it's maybe not possible for it to meet it. So, again, it's one of those sort of things you're not going to learn until you do it for yourself too. So if you're like kind of at the start of your journey within the business, and looking to break in and get gigs and stuff, it's kind of just try and go and just be cool. And by being cool, I don't mean sort of like impress people with your coolness. Be cool to yourself. Like just try and make some goals of people you want to talk to, but don't beat yourself up if they don't go the way you're going, that you want them to go, just because it's a very full on kind of show as well, isn't it?
Maybe it's good to manage your expectations, and also like the thing you probably want to happen probably isn't going to, but something else you couldn't have expected will. Yeah.
100%, definitely did, and it did for me. But again, like I was kind of at least 10 years into
you were well established
industry,
by the time you went.
like I was, and I wanted to do more Marvel work or to be noticed by other people. But it was good. It pays off, but just mind yourself over there. To be honest, it's because it's a positive thing. But I think if you have a low moment, it can be quite low there too. Like it's someone was mean to me at 2018, and I sat down at my desk and I was very much like, I want my mom, and I think I might cry, and it was. And part of that is just you're tired and you're hungry and you're away from home, but it is just a case of like, oh, it wasn't about me, why would it be? It was their deal, and whereas I remember in 2019 it was one of my favorite memories of my life was getting up early on a Saturday morning and walking down to the convention center and going to Bodega, getting a bagel and getting a coffee and just walking through New York City. It's the start of winter, and
there's nothing like it.
That was really. And the thing is, that had nothing to do with comics, but it did. The reason I was there was comics essentially, and you can have that moment too. It doesn't mean whether you're working in comics or not. If you're in New York City for New York Comic Con, you're there for comics because comics has brought you there. And try and grab some moments like that, But it's manage expectations, and I don't mean that in a sneery, snide way. But people, and I like that was Reese Hannigan who put that question there, and like Reese's stuff is incredible, and he's just getting better and better all the time, and he's really good at taking kind of advice. Any portfolio reviews I've done for him and stuff, and I've been a little bit kind of hard on his stuff sometimes because I know he's that close sort of thing, so you sort of just go.
No, I agree. You kind of have to be hard because when they're that close, there's no point kind of dilly-dallying because they're getting there.
Also, he's very good for taking it as well. Like, he's really, he's very, and So I think, but like I don't want to sort of say that, for example, with Reese or anyone like his standard that you're not going to get picked up. You're not going to get signed on the day for anything, I don't think, but you are going to stick in, you could stick in people's minds. But don't feel that you have to be at the Marvel party or at the DC boost, like it's, it's,
or that like Marvel are going to go, like, this is it. You're the guy, you're the new guy on Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah. Like, no, it's not going to happen. Don't, no. Like just bring it down,
Yeah. Yeah, and even if you are the standard, that's they don't, it happens, but it doesn't happen. And it's no harm to think that it won't happen to you. That doesn't mean that it isn't going to happen for you. So, otherwise, find some friends to go with. It's true.
You'll make fun. You'll have a great experience if you have friends over there with you, for sure. But I want to get onto SCARENTHOOD if I can. What was the impetus for doing SCARENTHOOD at the time you did it? Because you were going to Marvel, you could have kept going, getting work there. Yeah. What was the thing that made you want to do that book?
Well, I would have liked to have done, but that was when the kind of the in the slight drop off, and it was what was the thing? Yeah, it was like I did so many kind of Irish goodbyes on Transformers where I tried to kind of back out the door. I was basically, again, taking advice from you, and it was like, just tell them you want to write, and if they don't let you write, don't do Transformers anymore. And so it's in very nice ways, because I was always happy to work, but it wasn't what I wanted to do because a big itch had been scratched, and I'd done a lot of Transformers, and it's kind of not running out of ways, but I was like, I wasn't getting the buzz of kind of finding new ways to do things with the same old kind of characters and setup. So I tried to think about what my creator-owned comic would be, and I had one idea that was going to be like space opera, sci-fi, time travel, big mecha, giant robots, and that was going to be my thing. And I kind of thought, well, I'm looking at the kind of indie comics, the non-Big Two stuff or Image, and there's no giant robot comics out there, so there's obviously it's obviously not a thing, and then I come up with my stuff about being a scared daddy, and then you've got stuff like Homesick Pilots and Dawn Runner and all these amazing, like, it's like, oh, you could have done that, you just had to do it really well and people would buy it. So I kind of trying to come up with a story that I wanted to tell, and at the time my daughter was 2, when I kind of first started coming up with it, and I was faced with having to bring her to play school so I could get some work done, but also having to make small talk with people.
I lost you again there, Nick. Okay, I think Nick's back. Hey, Nick.
Hello.
Hey, there he is.
Hi.
Ooh, right, yeah, I was in trouble there.
Literally sweating.
Well, PJ just made a point. He was saying that he felt like Parenthood would do gangbusters in the book market, after like the success of things like Heartstopper. I mean, there's just a totally valid point to make. Like, has it been tough keeping something like SCARENTHOOD going? Because the book came out 3 years ago?
4 years ago.
4, okay. And like, is it tough to kind of keep like eyeballs on it, or keep pushing it, or?
What do I say here? Yes, it is. Okay. It is. I also think that we had expected there to be a follow-up on shelves by now as well. So there's maybe a little bit of momentum loss in some ways because you want to do more of the thing that people have heard of. And like I was nicely surprised to go on the Thought Bubble last year, back in 2023, that like so many people had read it. It was like people who came up with it. People, it was nice people bought it from me as well, which is great. But there were people who had read it who didn't know that I was a Transformers guy, and like that's a kind of an unusual situation to be in. So yeah, I would. Part of the reason as well, while maybe there hasn't been as many eyeballs on it of late, well, because there isn't a volume 2 visibly forthcoming just yet, but also I've been lucky enough to be doing other work. I've been like in and out with Marvel, and I've been working on Transformers Earthspark as character designer since 2020. So pretty much as soon as SCARENTHOOD had hit, I kind of got the job working for Nickelodeon on Transformers. But I would. It's something I'm super like proud of as well. Like it's something I wish more people had kind of known about. But like people who did know about it seem to very much like it.
I mean, you must be glad to have gotten it out. It's the one thing that is all yours. That like it's not an IP or whatever it is. Like, I mean, it's also clearly a very personal story as well. Like, you must be happy that you got it out there rather than it be a thing that's in your notebook.
Yeah, I am, of course. Yeah, and it does. It makes other things seem more possible as well. It's just hard to have the bandwidth to kind of, I guess, for the outlay of working on a creator-owned comic, like either doing more SCARENTHOOD, because when it is your own, that's amazing. But it does mean that a lot of the risk is yours too. That you're not going to be getting paid necessarily get paid a page rate. You're going to be earning on the back end. That means you get paid depending on how much it sells. So there's a lot of upfront work that kind of goes along with it too. I mean, this, but I'm just talking to other people. I'm telling myself. And it's it's kind of maybe hard to take the risk either on even on doing another series that isn't SCARENTHOOD. It's harder. Apart from the fact that the industry is a little bit kind of, it's hard to know which way the wind is going to blow at any given moment. It's hard to turn down. It's hard. I'm in the position where I have ongoing paying projects, and it's sometimes hard to kind of like step out of that because there's just no more time in the day as well. Like I've got a wife, got 3 kids. I've got like other. You don't want to have a burnout again like I did when I was 28 or whatever that was. So, you kind of can only do what you can manage and stuff. But I think that is where maybe some of the jealousy also does come back, because it's never jealousy of like unfounded jealousy or they don't deserve that. But it's like, when I see like, you able to put stuff out or whatever, like it's kind of like it's cool and stuff like that. But I do also realize the reasons why I can't or I'm not doing more creator and stuff at the moment are also good reasons. It's
yeah. I mean, I've got nothing to live for, so it's fine. I can just put all my effort in.
I'm glad you said that.
Comics are my children.
No, but I'm clearly not saying that. I was actually talking to Will Sliney about that last week, about that sort of kind of the trade-off sort of thing, but there is no trade-off. That's the thing, that when you realize, well, what is it that's stopping me from doing X, Y, and Z, and when you realize that it's like, well, I'm a dad and I've got, like, I'm working on it, the projects, it's sort of like, okay, well, go easy on myself. But it's I just wish I could kill that sense of, like, feeling this things are, the industry is moving away from me, or I'm going to be forgotten or something like that, because I don't.
Well, I mean, you can't. I mean, that doesn't really make sense because you're doing books at Marvel the whole time. You know what I mean?
But none of the stuff that you tell yourself makes sense. None of the stuff that you will find to beat themselves up with really ever makes sense. So.
PJ's pointing out that I got a wife and a kid. Show off. Okay, I get it. You've had sex 3 times. Fine. Don't rub it in.
The weird thing is that I've had sex twice. Like, I'm so confused where the second one came from. Absolutely no idea. If he didn't look exactly like me, I would be very concerned.
He does look exactly like you. Nate Stockman says you're doing great. It doesn't sound like that when coming from Nate Stockman. But no, that's conditioning, Deck. To me, it does. If Nate says that, I'm like, oh, that's a hug from a friend. To you, that's like that's your, like, someone stabbing you in the exactly, yeah, sliding the knife right in.
Well done, Deck.
Yeah, exactly. So do you think you're going to do that robot book, like that big epic thing? I'd love to see you do it.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? I don't know if I'll do that robot book, but there is a robot book. And that's kind of a bit smaller in scope too, as well, which I think makes sense, because that's that was any success that we had with Transformers. That when I was writing it, or on stories that I got to draw, it was by bringing the focus down. It wasn't sort of like, we have to save the Allspark. It was like interpersonal stuff with the characters and their motivations, and that's so. If I'm doing the giant robot, I definitely want to draw giant robots, but I have to figure out a way to kind of, I know I have figured out a way to kind of make it small. So that's kind of one of my ideas and stuff. But it's, another idea is kind of wrestling based as well, because of my healthy disdain for that horrendous industry. So it's,
title suggestion. Subtitle suggestion is Droid Bribbles. There you go. That one's for free.
I could do that. It's not too bad. I think we can have it. Do you know anyone who might give it a spin? That was an elegant way of introducing Transformers. I have to say, the Void Rivals way. It's something.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It's something I thought about years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but not in the sort of, I thought of it first. But I listened to Kirkman. No, but it's such a, you can do it with Transformers. I think when there was talk about no one knew where Transformers was going to end up, I kind of thought it would be cool if, somewhere, if they'd gone back to Marvel, for example, you're reading an Avengers book and, suddenly the police car transforms in the background and stuff. But even before that, I remember pitching some stuff to IDW about like that. But I mean, you can't back, unless you're Kirkman, you can't back a comic that no one's ever heard of and then stealth launch Transformers into it, So you can't.
It's a great idea, but the person that can actually pull it off, like, you need some serious heat behind you, like, and just like regular freelancers like ourselves aren't really like, in a position to.
No, and IDW and Hasbro weren't. Just saying. Well, you've got the artwork up there, Deck. Big, just massive shout out to Chris O'Halloran. Obviously, he's just like, I was so lucky to get him on board for SCARENTHOOD when we started kind of pitching it, because he wasn't the comic industry's Chris O'Halloran then, but now he is.
Yeah, I was asking while you were resetting yourself there that was that the first time you'd worked together? You done some covers, maybe?
Yeah. No, so we had done some covers. That's right. Of course, we done some covers. Yeah, we did some Avengers covers. Back in 2017, and it was kind of important to me. Like, he's just the best for the job, obviously, but it was important for me to have like an Irish colorist for SCARENTHOOD, because it's kind of set in a and not because like keeping it like local or anything like that, but it's there's so many. SCARENTHOOD is very Irish in its setting, and like even just the color of our skies and the shorthand of knowing what like a kind of an old mad granny's living room would look like. Like everyone's got like all the settings in SCARENTHOOD, like Chris had been in them because he's lived in Ireland, and I just got so lucky with him, and just it's strong stuff.
I know what you mean.
Through,
the shorthand goes a long way to the world building without actually saying the thing.
You've done stuff set in Ireland, and it's important, I think, to sort of to know. That's the color. I know he does obviously artistic license and dramatic license and stuff, but you've got to the skies need to look a certain way, trees don't turn a certain color, so it's but look at that. Oh, it's good, it's gorgeous.
I know, it's savage. Yeah, it's savage.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd really seen you draw monster stuff before, that wasn't a robot version of a monster, it's lovely.
No, it's good. Or just people like that. I've drawn superheroes before, but that's what I was saying before. I was cut off one of the 4 or 5 times I was cut off. That it didn't make sense in my really career wise to sort of draw SCARENTHOOD, but it was just a story that I really wanted to tell. But because it wouldn't have been on my list of things to draw.
I was saying as much. When you were resetting that, the smart thing would have been to do the thing that you do and then bring that over to creator. I mean, the on paper smart thing. But I think the real smart thing is to just do the thing that really means more to you.
Yeah.
I think had you done that other idea but not be as invested in it, I don't think it would have been as good as you would have wanted it to be, because that's not where your heart was.
And doing something. The freshness coming from robots to that as well meant that I tackled that with maybe a bit more fervor than I do good with Transformers when I've got a bit of a break from them, because then I gravitate back to drawing them for fun and put the passion back into it. But if you've kind of threaded that along, it's really hard to inject, or at least to make visible, the fresh enthusiasm. So no, SCARENTHOOD was the right thing to draw. I really hope we get to make more.
Chris seems he said you cut out there. Could you repeat all the compliments again? I'm not sure. I don't recall any compliments, so I can't really do that. Sorry. Don't, please don't.
Piece of shit. Yep.
I do want to just quickly have a look at the Banshee story we did. I'm afraid because of the format.
Let's be honest, it's the biggest X-Men comic that people are talking about, biggest X-Men media thing that people are talking about right now. So it's
specifically on St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day special. Yeah.
Well, I was saying when you were off there that I had done one of these and I really kind of made it to be very vertical, but when I was writing this one, it just wasn't as easy to do that. So I just kind of ends up writing a normal script, leaving you to kind of make it work vertically. And was this the first time you'd done this format?
Yeah, it was. And again, it was that thing of it's
yes.
Do you know what? It's a pain for dinosaurs like us, Declan, who live in an analog world and who maybe aren't brought up in webtoons and disc format. It is a bit of a challenge, and it feels like it's working with a limited palette, and that doesn't mean you can't sort of use it effectively. And but it's I wouldn't. I'm deep. I'm actually working on the final part of the current X-Men Unlimited run, and I've done loads of those now on this run. But I'd love to draw a widescreen vista. Do you know? It's a weird old thing, isn't it? But it was my first go around on the. Go ahead, Dex. Sorry.
So I was just going to say, if anybody's watching this, you might want to just go full screen so you can actually get a better look at the images, because it's not possible to zoom in. But I know what you mean. When I did the first one with Hickman, it was kind of after the first 2 chapters, he kind of just let it off to me. And I think if you're writing and drawing, it's a better experience because you have a better idea of how to make things work. With I felt bad when I handed this to you because it's basically a script and you had to figure out how to make it work, which isn't. I don't think it's the best. I mean, I don't know if you have the same problem with the current, stories if they're written in a similar fashion.
No, there are little bits where they sort of suggest, and I did a Millie the Model with Stephanie Phillips as well, and did a 6-parter for her with her, and it was. It's again that the writers do take into consideration the format, and so they'll try and write stuff. The transitions, they'll help you out by kind of writing in a suggestion for a transition that, if they're, for example, in Millie the Model, there's like a scene set on a yacht, but underneath there's like scuba divers kind of, so that's a great opportunity to go from like you're drawing something on like surface level, and then the panel transition is to below the water. So that's kind of cool stuff like that. So I just trying to keep the verticality in mind with this, but they were using your stuff as a sort of look at this, to sort of, if you want an idea of how to do it, see how Deck did it with his story. So,
yeah, but like my running joke on that is like, the reason I kind of didn't want to do any more because there was only so many times Wolverine could fall down a hole. Like it's like you can do it, but like there's only so many times you can do it where it feels like you're just doing the same thing again. So I enjoyed the experiment, but I don't think I could do more of it without just retreading. Yeah, no, it's a weird thing, especially at the moment, because what we're doing is it's such a blast, man. It's really the kindest thing I can say about a comic is that it's readable. And I mean that from an accessibility thing. So Steve Fox and Steve Orlando are writing the current thing. I'll go back to the Paddy's Day thing in a second. But for people, X-Men can be really kind of off-putting because of how convoluted it can be, And so that's why something like this was good, because it was a one-shot. You're dealing with like making it small by bringing it into just like two characters. But like it's really kind of strong setup, and it's a core group of characters and it's very 90s what we're doing at the moment with like the X-Force team. So it's I don't know, but the point I'm trying to make is that like I'm enjoying drawing it, I think, at all times because of the story. But sometimes I do have to sacrifice. I don't think I can do this in a clever way. I think I'll just need to draw the best panel to panel that I can. That just happens to be scrolly vertical. You know what I mean? But it's Nate's complimenting you, saying again, he's giving the compliments for old Nick Roche. Never any this direction, but anyway, yes, he said your Millie the Model is a great, Nick. It's a tough format. I mean, it is a tough format, and Gary's seconding you on there. But I'd say you must be mad to draw like a book that goes like out.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Yeah, just to kind of, as well as that, it's did you find this, that when you're doing the verticals, I honestly can't figure out if it's the scripts with everyone or just the format, but like you're almost drawing like mini splash pages a lot of the time, it feels like, and a lot of the time you're drawing full figures. Like it almost feels like a cheat when you're doing like a torso or a shoulder up or a close up, which can look great panel to panel in like a printed comic, but I don't know, it sort of feels like the scripts I've been reading have often been kind of like long shots a lot of the time. And so not only are you kind of drawing and kind of thinking around the format, you're kind of maybe drawing, there's not as many breathers per page as you would build in yourself if you were planning a page.
I mean, when I was doing it myself, I mean, I actually wrote it in. It's the only time I've done the thing that people think everybody who writes and draws does, is I wrote it in the layouts. I drew the format, and then I kind of, I had an outline, and then I just kind of drew it into the layouts, and it was a good way to work in that format specifically, because otherwise you're trying to like, retroactively hook stuff up together. So it was, that's why I think like a writer artist, I think, has a better time with it, because you can, you know what you're getting at, rather than.
I would like to write one, especially because it feels to me that it's a good proving ground as well for writers. I would have thought, like it's so, and I haven't written for Marvel, so I nothing planned, but I would love, if any of my editors are listening. They mean that they read my emails, so they know I want to do it. So it's
it's probably the best platform in which to be trying to get that game. They're not all
They are. Don't mind what Nate says. They are.
But yes, did you enjoy the Banshee story? It sounds so desperate. I hope you enjoyed the Banshee story. No, I was very cool to work on it with you and Chris.
And Chris as well. No, it was mad. It was like I think you'd written stuff for some of the other Irish guys. You'd done something for PJ, hadn't you? You done Bond for PJ?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the James Bond one shot. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you'd written something. Maybe you hadn't written something from Mooney. I'm not sure.
No, that was Carnage that came later, and I deliberately made that hard for him to draw. So But I didn't want to do that to you.
But
it was complicated because it's Banshee. He's got a cape. The cape, you can't go out; it has to go down. You know. But I was trying to keep in mind the downness of it all, like cliffs and castle. And,
oh, you were. I remember. It was probably the most specific of the scripts maybe I've had so far. That's not a knock or anything like it, but I think because you're thinking so strongly as an artist.
Did that help, or did it get in the way?
No, I think it helps because you've got a grounding to work from. That at least you've got the grounding. So if you want to go a different way, you can. But like at least if you need to just rely on the script directions, I quite like it when you've got those footholds in the script. The first Marvel script the first Marvel comic I ever drew was written Marvel plot style, and and I wrote some suggestion dialogue, to go to paste to pad it out or whatever, and they ended up using it and stuff, So that was kind of really exciting to sort of feel like, I had some dialogue in the thing, but it was also I like working to full scripts. I think
yeah, I'm the same. I that was the first project, like when I started it with Hickman. That's Jonathan Hickman, by the way. But he was very like. He had a fairly good idea of the structure. Like he had an idea of how the structure would work. And then once that first one was figured out, he pretty much just, I won't say he walked away. He just said like, yeah, here's the rough idea. Off you go.
Yeah.
I was like,
and that's okay too. It's okay for daddy to let go of the bike behind you when you're doing
But it was definitely an interesting format to experiment with. I just found that like it was Jordan was the editor, and it was really nice to say if you want to do more. But I liked the experiment, but I just didn't want to make the experiment the full time thing. But they've been going all in since, and there's no sign of it stopping. They seem to I think they seem to be doing stuff where you can probably get stories made that like wouldn't make it to print, but you can do kind of like fun stuff, side stuff with other characters. Where the stakes aren't as high. It seems like a good place to just like you said, like maybe write some stuff and have some ideas, and it's not there's the pressures of doing like a monthly print book probably aren't on you like that.
Yeah, I agree. But it's the current one we're on. So I've never seen. I know there was talk of some of these getting collected into print, but I don't know, did they ever do it in the end, or? I've never seen. My
first one did the one with John, but probably just because John's name was on it, because I did a second one and I was told.
What did that look like then? Would the like how does that get turned into print?
The print version?
Yeah,
I can tell you here.
There seems to be like a mild bit of buzz about the stuff we're doing. So I'm co-artist with Philip Seavey, and the man is pure comics. My God. The stuff that he sends out is just so beautiful, and it's and again like that. I think a few years ago, if I was doing like a co-artist job like this, his stuff arriving would have killed me and just gone, I can't do it. But instead, it's just going, oh my God, his stuff is great. I can't wait to sort of tag in. And he, out of all of us, like this, Steve Fox, Steve Orlando, everyone is lovely, and Lauren Amaro and Jordan are the editors. Yeah, Nitro's the colorist, but like Philip is the heart of the group because he just is like our cheerleader. He just like he bangs the drum and tells everyone how good they're doing, and you can tell he means it. He's invested in the characters, but the story we're doing is a real crowd pleaser as well. So I'd love to see it kind of published because it kind of plays the hits and plays it well. It's not like an esoteric sort of like this one's just for the diehards. It's like no, this is like proper superhero stuff. There's like mutant kids being stolen from a mutant from a Native American reservation, and Thunderbird and Warpath are getting a team together to kind of go retrieve them, and it's got the externals in it, and it's got Richter and Shatterstar, and it's just like it's for men of a certain age, it's a real blast.
Yeah, sure. All the old school stuff, like. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I've seen any of the other stuff printed since, but I mean, look, they have loads of material. They could probably, put it all out in a big chunk of a digest.
Yeah,
I mean, who knows? Who knows what they could do? But yeah, there's no sign of stopping. Like they seem to be going all in.
I hope so.
Paul said, I'm a physical media fan, prefer comics in my hands, so would love a print release at some point. Same. I mean, the point of doing it when I started it was like that it was going to be in print. Like I designed it to work as both. But like I said, the first one was, the second one never was. So I don't know what the story is there. But going forward, I mean, do you know what you're going to be doing next? Are you going to do? Have you got more limited stuff coming up, or have you got more horizontal stuff?
I would love to do some horizontal stuff, Dec. Thanks for asking, baby. I would. So the very next thing I'm doing. Oh yeah, hang on. Yeah, but I can't talk about that. It's I think I'm stepping over to Boom for a minute to do something there, and then I don't have any other comics things yet. But as of this month, I'm back on full time working on Transformers Earthspark. I'm the robot character, the main robot character designer for Nickelodeon's Transformers Earthspark, which is on Netflix and CBBC and Paramount Plus, and that was kind of like a good relaunch of Transformers that's very family orientated, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's okay for your 3-year-old to watch. It means that you won't mind watching it with your kids because it's not awful.
That's always a plus.
I'm very kind of pleased to stand by it. It's a Transformers show that I would stand by. But they're my character designs for the most part. Didn't get to do Optimus Prime, but got to do Megatron and Bumblebee and there you go. Sorry, just Nate Stockman talked about Philip Seymour.
But I also I was asked to do a Transformers cover, and I was like, can I do Optimus Prime? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, great. And then they changed what it was to characters who I didn't know who they were at all. I'm like, I'm all right. I
remember you rang to tell me that the day that my dog was run over. It's weird, isn't it?
It's coming, yeah. But it didn't happen in the end. But I was going to say, is character design stuff fun? Like, it seems like it'd be a fun gig, but I wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah, I think you would, first of all, because I think you've got a good sense of kind of silhouettes because you're lazy. No, it's because you're no, but it's true. That's why the Moonlight. My phone is telling me it's going to overheat.
Oh, really?
For God's sake, what's wrong? Look, if the phone goes, the phone goes. It's a lot of fun, but the mental illness of comics makes me want to draw stories. I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
Designing Transformers, and I think they came and they were using me as they used my stuff on the mood board, and then they were like, why don't we just use the guy who did this comic stuff because he's got a sense of kind of character design.
Which is great. That's what you'd want to happen. It's like, why to hire the guy who you're actually looking at?
Yeah, and that story doesn't happen very often, especially not these days with AI kind of encroaching, but it was magical, and I've said it in other places, but it's like I'm getting I'm getting a paid course in animation, it's the guys are so patient. Sorry, Dave. It is. It's wonderful. I'm
overheating your phone.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun to do the character design, but it's a weird thing that you sort of spend 2 or 3 months just doing character design, and then you are a bit like, I'd like to do comics, but it's a 40-hour week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's and also if you're sick, they'll go, okay, we'll wait for you. So it's
what?
I know. I don't. You can see what it's sweet. Yeah, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I can. But I mean, it must keep you sharp though when you are doing comics, then, because your energy, it's like some people can do a job that they like, but it's the job, it really grinds them down, and then. But if you're doing something that you enjoy, and when you do get to do comics, it might keep you, up in energy levels.
It does, but it's sometimes you're a bit ring rusty as well because maybe I should be doing my reps really, elsewhere. But character design is great, but you're kind of just drawing static characters a lot of the, you are the whole time pretty much, So it kind of takes a while to find that bounce again a little bit. And often I found anyway, one of the days when I go between a Transformers gig to a superhero gig, I'd find it maybe hard to get into the Transformers look if I've just been drawing human anatomy for a while, and definitely the other way around. You know, if I've been in the Transformers trenches, you know, it's not like I don't know how to do it, but like it depends on how fresh and how well practiced you are to do it. You know, it kind of it'd take a bit longer, or it's going to look a little stiff to kind of get there. But you know, even looking at the X-Men pages now, I'm on like maybe my 10th part or 11th part of this run. You know, compared to where I started off, like, you know, it's kind of it's not even like that I've improved. It's more just that it's better. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, what would be the perfect balance for you then? Would it be like 20% character design, 80% comics, or vice versa? Like,
well, when I've been like a dickhead about it, if comics paid, full stop. If comics paid, do you know what I mean? Like, and that's not that fair. Marvel paid well, you know, and it depends on how fast you can go as well.
Sure, but
like,
if you wanted to do your idea, like, that's not going to pay. You're going to have to do a lot of that on your own steam for a while before it even happens.
Yeah, exactly. No, like ideally, like honestly, I've said it to multiple people, including, you know, publishers who have the rights. You know, I would like to make SCARENTHOOD my full-time job. You know, that would be great, but it's just not viable at the moment. I'd like to keep my hands in with the animation side of it. I think if I could get the guarantee that I could do X amount of, say, concept art work, or, you know, or even script writing or something for other like mediums, and comics would wait for me. You know, if I could get comics to make me that pledge that my place.
I think but like it goes to what we were saying before, where like all that kind of nervous energy is gone now. I mean,
I think so.
It will wait. Comics will wait for you now. I mean, we're both in a situation where the constant, like, what's the next gig? I mean, I think I told this story the last podcast, but I was talking to my mum recently, going like, I have to rub it in. I have a mum.
But listen, on the day that you don't, Declan, I cannot wait to phone you with some news, baby.
I'll have a comment. But what was it? I was saying to her, like, I think I was trying to mull over what the next gig was, you know, and she just said, like, would you shut the fuck up? I was like, what? Like, thanks for your fucking, you know, consideration.
Sound like your mom and me.
Yeah, but she was like, how long have you been doing this? Like, I was like, you know, years. And she's like, yeah, and you've never been stuck. Yeah. Like, you've never actually been stuck. Maybe it's not the thing you want, but you've never ever been screwed. Just relax, something will come. And, you know, the instinct is to be like, well, maybe it won't. But she's right. Like, it has been fine. And, like, if we could just relax and just see what happens, and instead of driving yourself crazy all the time, you don't need to stress about it. Like, you have enough work under your belt, enough, you know.
And I think we don't have to go crazy. You and I have worked on things like, you know, obviously you've like big fan of like your own stuff. I really am. And I messaged you to say so and everything. But like you, for example, you've done like fan favorite stuff like Moonlight. And like I've got the Transformers thing in my back pocket the whole time. You know, you're like, even if you're stuck, you're never stuck because someone's going to want commissions. You know, someone's going to, you know, like our version of stuck isn't really stuck. You know, like it's at the moment. And I know that we both know we're lucky for that too. But it's I have to be told that the whole time. I've never been like, you might be waiting a couple of days for an email sort of thing, but it's never long term. It's never eaten into your kind of your savings so far. But it's I don't want anyone listening to this to think that I'm sure they don't, because they can see our faces and hear our intonation, but like that we're sort of saying that we've got our place and, you know, we're safe and we've earned it. And, you know, like it's it's there's still room for everyone else. That doesn't, you know, just because you can get to a stage where.
I'm not saying it as a thing as like we're great. It's just like you know, the years of hustling and worrying that like you won't get another gig, or is anyone going to pay attention? You know, it's okay to just take a breath and go, no, it's fine. It's fine. You know, you don't like that, and it's not a bad thing actually. I think it kind of helps your work too.
I think so.
You know, that when you're younger, that nervous energy I think definitely helps, especially with the deadlines, I guess. But like, there's nothing wrong to be like, you know, I think I've talked to other friends before. I'm like, you need to have something in the stands every month. But like, I don't think that's true anymore. And I think if you have enough of a following, people will wait and they'll be happy and excited, and you know.
I agree, but it's hard. It is hard to unlearn that you've got to have something on the stands thing, doesn't it? Like it's It's like, and it feels like, even with stuff like the Unlimited thing. And again, I swear this is not a complaint because I'm drawing X-Men from Marvel, like, you know. But it's weird that it's not on the stands.
I know, but
do you know what I mean?
if I told you 10 years ago,
I know,
you know, you will have drawn a chunk of X-Men comics, you would be like, what the hell are you talking about? You know, same. Like I do try to remind myself sometimes of like stuff I've even forgot, which is crazy, stuff I've forgotten about. It's like, you got to do this. I'm like, oh yeah, fucking hell. Like,
I forgot that Spider-Man Deadpool until I was rationalizing the Peter Parker thing earlier on. I was like, oh yeah, I've done that. But again, blowing smoke as well. Like the X-Men, my first X-Men story was with you, you know, and it was an Irish and all, like, you know, whoever thought that, you know, like in this era of, like, you know, when Marvel are reaching out to sort of like make sure all the different ethnicities and all the different kind of minorities are being represented, that Ireland, they'd get
potato people get their place too. Yeah.
But you know, it was sweet, and it meant that it wasn't too paddywhackery, you know, like it's kind of, you know, it's a
little bit,
and like, yeah, a little bit, but of course it's Banshee, and like, but like, as a kid growing up, like you don't see Irish superheroes. He's the only one you've got, you know. So, and so
no, it was really when Lauren Amaro was the editor. Yeah, when she asked, I think she even had you in mind from the start. I can't remember, but
she did. I think, you know, you didn't. I remember messaging you to say that. Hey, you've written the X-Men. Lauren has just emailed me. Thanks, man, for putting in a word. And you're like, no, I didn't.
Yeah, that was it. I think I would have liked to. I didn't even get to a place where I had to suggest you. It was all, which was also says a lot too. You know, like plenty of us have helped each other get gigs. I didn't even have to do that there. You I didn't have to like sneak you in there or anything. You got the gig the same way I got the gig, which is again pretty fucking amazing. Like,
also our ethnicity, but I remember we tried to get Chris O'Halloran fired. I mean, apparently
true.
Yeah.
They were stuck on him for whatever reason. But no, I guess, do you know what? Maybe we'll wrap it up there on a positive note where we're actually appreciating what we have, you know, rather than being all dour about it. But I don't think we were.
I hope no one thought we were negative, because it's so easy for comic stuff to talk that way, to head that way. And I also don't want people to think that, like, you know, the two white guys are taking their shit for granted again, you know. So we've got to live with our own heads as well, and our own heads have been buzzing like wasps. So it's kind of nice that
there's nothing. I like, we're like, let's rest on our laurels, but not rest them too much. Take those. Actually, you know what? Take those laurels, give them back. You know.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry for all the technical hoo-ha. I'm not sure. I thought Waterford was a well-connected city, but it's clearly not. So I'm sorry about that.
Well, when this is a live stream, this will be edited. I don't envy Jamie editing this one, but you know that's what the money is for. But look, Nick, I tell you, I as a fan of your stuff, I'm really like just can't wait to see the next thing that you do. I mean, X-Men stuff is great, and I love it, but I just think SCARENTHOOD is an amazing piece of work. I'd love to see more of it, but I'd love to see you do more stuff too. So I'm kind of like
you've been really good
publicly
for
pressuring you to.
No, I need it. I need it. Like, and I've said it to you personally as well. But the really annoying thing about your advice is that it is always fucking paid off for me. So I remember you saying it to my wife, but it's
Jamie, clip that.
I remember you said to my wife when we were talking about the SCARENTHOOD situation and whether to sort of kind of like shit or get off the pot with some of the issues there. And, you know, I sort of said, Dex suggests this, and, you know, he's right. And she was like, there is that. Well, thank you. That means a lot. In the meantime, I know you're going to bang the drum for it anyway, but, like, if anyone who hasn't checked out SCARENTHOOD fancy giving it a spin, I really appreciate it.
There's a link in the description on YouTube, so to Amazon. Go get them, pick it up, pick them. It's a genuinely unique book. You know, it's not an IP chasing thing. It's clearly a personal story. The craft work in it is amazing. Like, no, it's incredible. So yeah, I highly recommend
and it's funny as well. Don't forget, everyone, it's funny. It's not a downer. It's funny, I think so. Yeah.
But so everyone check it out. Nick, thanks a million, man. Thanks for popping on. And it's nice to talk to you. I'll see you another 4 years.
Yeah, see you for next pandemic.
Grand. Or maybe, hopefully, Dublin. Hopefully.
Oh, yeah. See you in August, maybe, if not before.
All right, maybe. Little tease. All right, man. Thanks a million, man. Thanks to everyone for popping in and saying hi. All the compliments to Nick, but not me. But it's fine. It's fine. I don't need him. It's fine. Thanks a million, guys. But catch you next time. Thanks a million, guys.